All right, welcome to episode 1 of the Roblox Arsenal Talk Show. If you weren't here for the first little episode of this where I kind of announced it, basically I'm gonna be talking about questions that y'all ask me in the comments or just in the Discord. So if you have any questions or comments or anything you'd like to know, then go ahead and ask them in the Discord or in the comment section down below, and I'll probably answer them. So the first question I have here is high school experience and advice. So my high school experience was pretty decent. I was a sports guy in high school, so I got to know quite a bit of people from that. And I also already knew quite a bit of people because of middle school sports and so on. I didn't really have any bad experiences per se. A lot of my time in school was focused on basketball because I was on the basketball team. So a lot of my time during school was that because you had practices in the morning, you had to get ready, get a game that night, then you had to go from school to the game, or if you had to travel a long distance, you basically got out of school early to go to those games. That was the majority of my time. But I knew a lot of people in school, and it was basically just kind of joking around in classes and not really caring a whole lot. I was more quieter unless there's a lot of my closer friends in class. Then I was a little bit less of a quiet kid, but other than that, I was more quiet. But I didn't deal with bullying or anything like that. I never really dealt with any sort of bullying throughout my time in any schooling. But overall, my high school experience was pretty good. I did pretty good in school. I was always kind of low A's, high B's sort of person. So I was considered an honor student because of that. And then for the advice part of this question, if you are someone who gets of that group that kind of gets bullied a little bit or something like that, I think for me, for some reason this is kind of my thought on it, is just kind of remember and kind of remind yourself that the people who are doing this are kind of not really lesser than you, but they for some reason have a stupid reason to do it, and also they're just trying to seek attention. So I would say just kind of stick to yourself if that's something that's happening. Also remind yourself that they're not going to be in your life later on. They're going to be irrelevant to you right after school is over. They're going to go do their own thing. You're going to go do your own thing. So they're going to be an irrelevant part of your life later on if they're kind of one of the people that is always toying with you and so on. I would say also just focus a tiny bit in high school. It's not really too hard unless you make it hard for yourself. I never took advanced classes or anything because I never saw the point of it, and I still don't see the point of it. A lot of people say it's for college and so on, but I don't know. I didn't do any advanced courses, and I'm still in a really good college for business and so on. So yeah, don't overstress yourself on some of the things that a lot of high schools and stuff like that will make you feel like you have to do this or have to do that. So I wouldn't stress yourself too much on it, but everyone has different ideas on it. So don't take what I say as truth. In terms of getting through high school and so on, and advice for that, if you're struggling quite a bit in high school, I would say just try your best to just remind yourself that you'll get through it. There's always gonna be some parts that are a little bit tough. There's things that you're good at, and if you're struggling with it, you're probably just not good in that subject. Or if you're trying to do something in that subject later on, there's gonna be a lot of challenges brought up, and especially for the things that you actually want to be able to pursue in the future. Always ask questions. Don't feel afraid to ask a teacher questions. It's kind of why they're there. But as I was saying earlier, if you're struggling with something and you're not really trying to pursue it, in the future, it's probably just not something that you really specialize in. You're not too interested in it. So don't put yourself down because of it. Everyone's good in their own little section. And I also am someone who doesn't like the ranking system in schools, because being good in academics, I feel like, is such a stupid thing. Like, if you're good in academics, that's good for you. That's really good. But like, if you're not really that good in it, there's gonna be other things that you're gonna be better than someone else is. If someone's just like really good at just being able to do academics, just straight up. There's people who are just really good at finance. There's really good at people who are really good at understanding, like, like engineering, or a whole lot of different things. People are better at understanding those sort of things, because you're probably interested in them, or something along those lines. You're not always gonna be good in everything. I'm gonna move on to the next question here. My experiences in middle school, or like embarrassing moments in middle school. I only really had one that I can remember of, and that was during a chemistry class. This was the only advanced class that I ever took, but it wasn't really an advanced class, I would say. I mean, it technically was, but also wasn't really, because in middle school, you don't really have like advanced classes. You have like pre-advanced classes. So there's like the normal class, and then there's like a pre-AP class. And so in this class, I don't know why I remember this so much, but I think I was going down to go grab like one of the something for an assignment, and I remember like bending down to go and grab this thing from a cabinet, and then some girl just like sat on me. I was like, what the hell? I don't remember how it even happened. I just remember that it happened. And then she got up and was like so confused. And I was like, I was I don't even remember what I said, but I know it was a really embarrassing moment. I'm still confused to this day how it happened, but it happened, and it was really embarrassing. I don't even know how she missed a chair that much, but she did. So yeah. Because once again, I didn't really have a whole lot of memories. Middle school was definitely also taken up by sports a whole lot, which we'll get into in the next question here. Which the next question is experiences in sports. If y'all don't know, I have basically been in sports my whole life until around 2020 and 2021, where I had my foot reconstructed, and I had to quit basketball, which is something I played for majority of my life. But when I was younger, I played a lot of different sports. I played soccer, I played baseball, football, basketball. I even did diving for a little bit. One of my experiences will come from basketball though, because that's kind of the sport I followed and was a big player in. So in basketball, I played on a national team, a travel team, if you will, an AAU, for a while. And so I was kind of every few months we would be traveling to a new state, and playing there, which was really fun. It was a really fun experience because, I got to travel around the country and play basketball and do what I love playing. But it was also really hard because when you're at that level, you've got to do a lot of training, you've got to do a lot of practicing, and so again, a lot of my time, even outside of school, was spent practicing, playing basketball, and all that stuff. And it was really tough because you didn't really have any off days. But I had a passion for playing, and I wanted to keep doing it, so I did. And from those experiences, the coach I had wasn't really the greatest. I mean, he knew what he was doing, but a lot of it was me kind of like at the age of like 12 and 13 was kind of when it all kind of started. Like the big time like tournaments and stuff like that started. You never really got any, the only sort of like advice, not even advice, but like the only sort of like information you'd get from the coach was just him yelling 24/7. You'd never really get any like congratulations for like when we won a national championship. It was just move on, we can do better and all this other stuff. You wouldn't even have thought that we won like anything. Like I understand like not living on that, because you can't just live on one single accomplishment, because you're not going to get better that way. But it was really destructive, you know, because you put all your time and effort to this, and then the coach just makes you feel like you haven't done anything at all. And at that age, it's almost like positive reinforcement is really needed at that age, because you know, you're trying to feel like you did something right, and if you don't feel like you're doing something right, then you don't want to do it. And it kind of ruined my mindset when it came to basketball a little bit. So I left that team and I moved on to another team, which was another AAU team, but also they got into EYBL. This was a step above AAU, and that comes with a lot more work, a lot more practicing, a lot more training. Every Wednesday, it was a strength and conditioning day, and that was really tough, because it was purely just strength and conditioning, and I didn't like it, obviously, because, you know, who wants to go and do that? I mean, you kind of like are like, okay, I know I need to do this because I need to get stronger. I need to be able to build, you know, I need to be able to build some strength and so on in order to play basketball, because basketball is a very physical sport, whether you believe it or not. It is a very physical sport, and you got to be able to work through some things. And what this built was, you know, mental toughness and not letting things get to you. All my years of basketball kind of taught me this. So I'm kind of happy that it happened to me, but at the same time, I wish it would have happened differently. To me, if someone is yelling at me for something, it's like I don't take it personally. I don't really get offended that easily from certain things. It's more of just like it doesn't affect me if someone's like yelling at me for something. I'm just like, okay, whatever. Either they just want me to do something better, they want me to get better, and so they're having to do this sort of this sort of like approach. But it is a lot for when I was younger. So yeah, that was basically my basketball experience. I played that up until I was like 17, 18, because I had to get surgery. And I also have been having a lot of medical stuff since then, since 2021 and 2020. With that being said, I also played a lot in middle school. I didn't just play basketball in middle school. I played basketball, football, and I also played soccer. Football was kind of the first sport that you kind of had to play, because football season was first before basketball season. And at my school, it was either you played football, you stayed in the athletics program, you played football, and then you played basketball, or you, why the hell is this game mode? Why would you choose this game mode, bro? I'm actually kind of pissed. Or you went to like a PE class and then you traded over to athletics during the middle of the year. I chose to play football. I got put on the football team, and I was quarterback for my team. I wasn't on the top team in the middle school. There's like a few teams that get put on because we had so many people. And a lot of middle schools here had a lot of people that wanted to play football, but obviously you can't have like 100 people on one team. And I never even played tackle football before in my life. I played flag football when I was a little bit younger. But I knew how to throw football, and I played football with friends and stuff like that. So I knew what I was doing. I wasn't brand new to the sport. So I also had athleticism from being able to, you know, from all the years of basketball prior and all the training I had to go through with that. So I had strength, and I had the athleticism to play football. And with that, I became the quarterback on the team. But also with that, I was the punter. I was the kick returner. I was I was a defensive back. And at times it was basically the running back, because the middle school doesn't really have you throw the ball that much. So it's usually just like the QB ends up running it. Either you hand off the ball to a running back, or the QB is running it most of the time. But there are a few pass plays that you do throughout the whole year. So that was definitely interesting. But my first ever play in tackle football, I had a terrible O-line, so I didn't have much defense. So I had to make a decision immediately, basically. My first ever play, my first ever snap in football, I get absolutely blindsided and knocked to the ground, and I lost my breath or whatever. I got hit so hard, I lost my breath and I stayed on the ground. And I was like struggling to breathe. And that was my first experience in football. And right at that moment, I was like, why did I do this to myself? It was my first ever game. And yeah, I was definitely really nervous that day because I've never played quarterback ever before in my life, like an organized sport. And that was my first ever introduction. And this wasn't even like being on the top team. Basketball did really well, and I was on the top team in basketball, starter, all that other stuff, as you probably imagine. Not really too much of a surprise, I would hope, for most of y'all. But then soccer season came around, and I played a lot of soccer when I was younger. That was like kind of like the second sport that I played the most. And so I got put on the soccer team, and I played soccer. But I wasn't really the greatest because I hadn't played soccer in probably like 6 years at that point. I'd quit playing soccer for about 6 years at that point. And so I lost a lot of my ability. And also, when I quit, I was still also really young. So you didn't really have a whole lot of skill when you were that much younger. But I got put on the team, and we did all right. I'll say that. That's just how it is. But I got to play soccer after not playing it for a while, and it was fun. But I'd say overall my favorite experience from playing sports was being able to travel a whole lot and going down every single year to Las Vegas and play in this huge national tournament. I got to see Shaq a few times because his son was also in EYBL. The Las Vegas tournaments are mainly EYBL tournaments. And so I got to see a lot of different people who are like prospects and all this other stuff while I was playing. And it was a really cool experience. And also Las Vegas in itself as well was also just so fun because there's so much stuff to do there. But obviously you can't do it all because you're there for a tournament, a big tournament. So yeah, that was one of my favorite moments ever, and one of my favorite experiences from basketball was just the traveling and seeing so many different places. We got to go to San Antonio, and we played in the San Antonio Spurs arena. I forget what the tournament was called, but if you made it to the finals in that tournament, you got to go play, like I said, in the arena that the San Antonio Spurs played in, which is an NBA team. And it's a huge arena. And both years we made it to the finals. Unfortunately, both years we lost in the finals, but it is what it is. It was still a really cool experience, and being able to play in that huge of arena was definitely breathtaking, and I wouldn't trade it for anything because that was just really cool. Especially being so young and having those experiences, definitely was a positive thing for me. That's going to be it for this one. Thank you guys again for watching. If you would like to have your questions be answered or so on, make sure to leave it down in the comments or join my Discord with the link down below in the description and post it in the talk show topics channel. So yeah, once again, thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.